In verse 22, and God formed the rib, which he took from Adam into a woman and brought her to Adam. We have God putting Adam to sleep, per se. And when Adam was asleep, he took from his side, took from his rib, took from his side, and created his wife from that. So there's this theory that we have Yeshua, we have Jesus on the cross. When he died, when he slept, because you know the word sleep or slept is a euphemism for death, especially in the New Testament, although in the Tanakh as well, wake up, O sleeper, that kind of thing. The word slept meaning death. So just as Adam slept, fell asleep, and God took from his side and created a wife for him, the idea is that Yeshua, Jesus, when he died on the cross, when he slept, the spear that went into his side, and this was basically sealing the deal of his death, which, figuratively speaking, again, out of his side or out of his death came his bride, if you will, his quote unquote church, if you will. So the church or the bride of Christ came from his side, just as Eve came from Adam's side. Genesis chapter 2, verse 23, Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of her husband." In Ephesians chapter 5, verse 30, similar to this, speaking of the Ephesians, the believers of Yeshua, speaking about Jesus, we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. Verse 31, this Ephesians 5:31, "For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh." This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. This is awesome. So it seems like the author of Ephesians, or quote unquote Paul, is kind of alluding to this whole thing here in Genesis chapter 2, verse 23, "Bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh, she shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man." So again, it kind of reflects back to the idea that this whole story of Eve being created out of Adam is repeated, or at least the story of the cross, when Jesus was hanging on the cross and he died when he slept, and there was a spear that was thrust into his side, that this is the seal of the covenant. The covenant was sealed here because he for sure died at that point in time. And so because of that, the covenant people of Yeshua came from that, just as Eve came from Adam. And that just as Eve was Adam's body, bones, and flesh, so quote unquote, the church is the body, the bones, and the flesh of Jesus.